Want to know what the Chaos Demons can do and don't have a couple of hours to watch a video? I'll tell you everything you need to know in about 5 minutes. A good codex overall, bringing demons up to a playable level without seeming broken anywhere at this point. The exciting news for me is that the rumour about limiting greater demons to 1 per detachment was incorrect. When including one or Be'lakor, then they must be the Warlord. Be'lakor was always tough, but he's being made even stronger. His Army of Renown is in the book, and still complicated, limited, and not useful. Lots of abilities just being rolled into data sheets now. There aren't any specific god special abilities, so as a result, Khorne units have more attacks, Nurgle units are tougher, and Slaanesh units are faster, for example. A Great and Clean one has gone to toughness 9. That's a great reflection of how the resilience has been added to the datasheet, especially as disgusting resilience has been removed. It's now easy to include demons in another army, as long as it's 25% or less than the overall power level. There seems to be a lot of ways for the faction to counter Catan and Abaddon's abilities to only take a fixed number of wounds per phase, and troops are limited to 10 model units, so while their stat lines have been improved, that's quite a big blow. So looking at some army-wide rules, you've got the new demon saves. This is a ranged and melee save that can't be modified and can't be ignored. It's different for each god, and the most unusual one is that Tzeentch has a 3+ for range and 6+ against melee. Deep striking is a thing with the demonic manifestation. Practically every unit can be set up in deep strike reserve, and there's lots of ways to bring them in, even under 9 inches now. You can get within 6 inches if you have a warp locus near. An example of this is Nurgle's tree. You can get within 3 inches if it's in your own deployment zone, or generally a number of inches equal to the unit's leadership, which is likely to be 7 inches at best. Demonic Terror. All units within 6 inches of any demons have -1 leadership and -1 combat attrition. And Malefic Weapons, a new weapon type that can't have its profile changed. Particularly scary for the Keeper of Secrets claws, which therefore can't be affected by any -1 damage abilities. A new special army-wide ability is called Warp Storm. This is for pure demons armies only. You roll 8d6 at the start of each battle round, and on a 4+ gain a Warp Storm point. Then you trade these points in for buffs. There are generic ones and god-specific ones. My particular favourite generic ones are Dark Invigoration for 5 points. During morale phase, heal your entire army D3 wounds, or return D3 1 wound models. This can avoid triggering morale issues. Descending Shadows for 3 points. Turn on a -1 to hit for the entire army against range anything over 12 inches. There are 3 more for each god, and they only affect that god-specific unit. Probably the best ones are Fury of Khorne for 4 points, that's +1 attack. Lightning Speed for Slaanesh, 3 points, and that's +1 to advance and charge. The book is then split by each god, with 6 Warlord traits, 6 relics, psychic powers and strats, all being specifically designed. I'll now look at each god and highlight the key and best parts of the rules for each. Nurgle. The Warlord traits aren't that special. Acidic Ichor is interesting as it spills mortal wounds on a 4+, as you take damage in melee. Again, overall the relics aren't too standout here either. Probably the best one is Corruption, which increases the damage of a weapon by 1. And the important thing is it can't be negated by Ignore Wounds rules. It's a perfect counter against Catan and other units that have a max wounds per phase rule. There are 8 stratagems available. Probably the best one is Transhuman for Plague Bearers, Revolting Constitution for 1 and 2 CP, 2 CP depending on the power level of that unit. And as to the 6 psychic powers, Miasma of Pestilence for -1 to hit has gone. Now probably the best one is Shriveling Pox for a warp charge of 6. This applies -1 toughness on an enemy. Each greater demon gets an exalted upgrade now, and there are 3 available, and the best one for the Great and Clean one is Revoltingly Resilient for 30 points, and that's -1 damage. Khorne. A particularly good warlord trait for this god is Brazen Hide, and that'll mean a 5+ feel no pain, perfect on a bloodthirster. The best relic again is probably something for a bloodthirster. It's the King of Blades, +1 damage and ignore modifiers to hit and wound. There are no psychic powers of course for Khorne, and 6 stratagems, and they're not great pickings to be honest, but probably the best is Banner of Blood for 1 CP, roll 3d6 to charge and discard 1. The exalted upgrades for the Bloodthirster, probably the best one is Master of the Blood Tide for 20 points, +1 strength and attack in the first round of combat. Slaanesh. 2 great warlord traits here. Fatal Caress, melee attacks and a 5+ ignore invuns. And the Murder Dance is +D3 attacks on a charge. Probably the best relic is Soul Stealer, a sword replacement that's strength +2, AP -3 and damage 3. But the cool bit is the bearer heals 1 wound for each model slain to a maximum of 6 per phase. Slaanesh has a scary psychic discipline with lots of options for dealing mortal wounds. I particularly like Hysterical Frenzy for warp charge 7 to give a unit +1 attack and exploding 6s to hit in melee. There are 8 stratagems, lots of options, and the good buff for the Demonettes is Rapturous Standard for 1 CP. Reroll all hits. For the Keeper of Secret upgrades, probably the best one is Insatiable Onslaught for 20 points, +2 to advance and charge. Tzeentch. Couple of reasonable warlord traits. Born of Sorcery for a +1 to cast, and Incorporeal Form for -1 to wound. The best relic seems to be Impossible Robe. Once per phase, change the fail save to 0 damage. 6 strong psychic powers as you probably expect. A really strong one is Infernal Gateway for warp charge 8. A high cast, but a Lord of Change gets +2 to cast. D3 mortal wounds to a unit, and the same to any other unit within 3 inches of them. There's not a massively strong set of stratagems. A reasonable one, though, is Warp Portal for 1 or 2 CP. A character can teleport anywhere greater than 9 inches from the enemy, and for a greater demon that's 2 CP. The Lord of Change Exalted upgrades, probably the best is Architect of Deception for 35 points. It will make him even more durable for -1 to hit. And Be'lakor and his discipline. As the big daddy, Be'lakor is even more durable now, more wounds, scary melee, -1 to hit and wound, can't reroll hits against him, and now -1 damage at range. Psychic powers are more usable now, and probably the best is Shrouded Step for Warp Charge 6, teleport an infantry unit anywhere outside 9 of an enemy. I've already mentioned at the start that the Army of Renown is in this book, but it's pretty rubbish. It seems better just to take Be'lakor on a list than make his specific army. There are 6 strats available for that Army of Renown, and they are reasonable but not worth making the list just for them. Really looking forward to playing my demons. See you again soon. Bye.